Sorry, I'm going crazy today. Yeah, there was something I wanted to talk about. I could do a whole podcast on this, but it's really not, I don't think I could milk it for 20 minutes. Not that I do that, really. I try to end the podcast when they're done. I don't have a particular time limit. So, let's talk about tariffs and Trump, and I want to make one big point. What is the biggest problem with Trump's version of protectionism? Because Trump's version of protectionism is a little different from other versions of protectionism. Like Lincoln, who was a wealthy railroad lawyer who represented northern manufacturing, the rich people of the time. Lincoln understood what Albert J. Nock, I think, said. I don't know why I'm struggling with the name. It's quoted in several of my books. Tariffs represent the robbery of the domestic. I'm going to repeat this 3 times because the protectionist. It's like a cult. It's like this quasi-religious thing. It's like, I don't know. It's just this deeply satisfying emotional ideology, and my theory of ideologies is that they're all emotional, except libertarianism, which is an ideology. But libertarianism is really, if you study it, it's based on rational thought. It doesn't mean it's correct. It's just that libertarianism, I could do a whole podcast on this, whatever. Libertarianism was kind of developed by serious thinkers who were really, I think, trying to hammer out what's true about politics. I don't think that the people who developed libertarianism said, let's come up with an ideology that makes everybody feel good. You wake up in the morning and you're in charge of your own life. And you better get to work because nobody's coming to the rescue. Not that you can't get assistance from family, friends, neighbors, charities, and so on. But the government's not coming to the rescue. Now there's a lot of plus sides to libertarianism, but I'm just talking about the fact that I should do a whole podcast on this. Oh well, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll redo it during the week because I don't have that much time left on the. Oh God. I'm not going anywhere, folks. I mean on the podcast. On the street. So, my point is, whatever you say about libertarianism, you may think libertarianism is stupid. You may think that libertarianism is, it's a stupid political party. No, libertarianism created the modern world. If you have read some of my books or listened to my podcast, you would know this. So whatever your criticisms of libertarianism are, you really can't say, you guys came up with an ideology that was designed to make the masses feel good. It's like, I don't think so. In fact, we don't really have an ideology that's that emotionally appealing. That's why we have 5% of the population at most who believe in libertarian ideas. And 95% believe in big government of some kind. They want their government to do this and their government to do that. Why? Not because the government... Sorry, I got a little noise here. Not because the government is good. Oh, fire engine. Not because... See, even though we have low property taxes in North Buffalo, you still have a fire department. You still have a police department. You still have water, sewage, all this stuff. So, not that the government is good at anything. The government is not good at anything. I've already proven this in prior podcasts. You strip out the core functions of government and get down. You strip out all the progressive big government bullshit that government does, and you get down to the core functions. And you could define the core functions. Wow. See, I normally don't do the podcast on on the street. I do it in the park. How you doing? Just got a suspicious look. I said hello. What are you going to do? Do I look dangerous? I'm not. There's a couple police cars on the left. I won't talk about why. I have a feeling I know why. But I don't have a print. I don't have a print, as they say. It's quite obvious I'm not packing heat. I don't have a pistol permit. I refuse to ask for one. I refuse to ask the government for permission to have a pistol. Getting back to my point. And I think I might redo this, again during the week, so it's not as choppy. Even the core functions of government, police, law, courts, the army, and if you want to add infrastructure, fine, I don't care. The government sucks at all the so-called core, just because it's a core function. Like, let's get a little Logic 101 here. It's a core function of government to have a police force. Okay. I'll accept that as a proposition. It's a hypothesis. It doesn't mean the fact that you think that that a core function of government is to have a police force doesn't mean it's any good at that job. Hello? God, I love this podcast. As to quote Ari Lee, the blood is up this morning. Don't get in my way. Don't mess with me for the rest of the day. Yesterday, not so good. Yesterday was a tougher day. So you see what I'm talking about? Like, you get out and walk, and I don't care what you might be in a bad mood when you start walking. You're going to be in a better mood when you stop walking. I don't know what it is. Well, it's the biochemistry, whatever. But back to progressivism and tariffs. So my point is, the ideologies that compete with libertarianism have been kicking our ass since Grover Cleveland. Been kicking our ass. They all have one thing in common. They're much more emotionally appealing than libertarianism. Progressivism is more emotionally appealing. Actually, that's the whole point of progressivism. Progressivism is like the prototypical ideology. It's a prototypical emotional therapy session masquerading as a political ideology. The whole point of progressivism, in all of its manifestations, is to make people feel better. I mean, it has nothing to do with logic at all. And I proved in my book, this is why I said, the government only does 6 things. Progressive government only does 6 things. I was talking about this before. I didn't finish the point. What are the 6 things? I got to show this sign. So, once again, we're mixing in. Am I allowed to mix in an ad in the podcast? What are the rules on that? Got to be a regulation on that somewhere. Again, this is house for sale in Newport. Folks, sell your house in Tonawanda and buy my house, and you'll save every month when you have the lower mortgage payment because of lower property taxes. You will thank your lucky stars. So, let me back to the aging boomer face. So, all the other ideologies as well are emotional therapy sessions. Marxism, conservatism. Conservatism is really like everything on the right. Conservatism is an incoherent hodgepodge of dumb ideas. What is conservatism? Nobody even knows. That's why you don't have to say what's libertarianism. Granted, there's a couple different schools of thought. We argue amongst ourselves, but the core, no libertarian believes in price controls. Okay? There is a core doctrine there that's pretty freaking clear. So, back to protectionism. Protectionism, I'm not sure exactly why. I just think it's bad economics, and it has this emotional appeal to people who haven't thought it through. But there are different types of protectionism. But Trump's version is particularly bad. I mentioned Lincoln being in the pocket of northern manufacturers. He raised tariffs across the board. But Trump's not doing that. Trump is like, first of all, he somehow has this emergency power to establish any sort of tariff that he wants. Individual industries, waivers, threats, and this and that. It's like the worst form of control over the economy. But look, I'm not going to go through all the economic arguments against tariffs. I'm going to make one big point because I'm wrapping up. I'm coming to the end of the street. The biggest problem with tariffs is that it's a form of economic central planning. And I talk about this in progressivism in terms of corporate welfare. In other words, if you support Trump's policy, you believe that one guy, and he's got his trade expert, so-called. I see him on Bannon all the time. Nice guy, but the guy went to jail. He's got these cockamamie theories of protectionism. So it's Trump. There's a couple deer on the street. It's hysterical. So it's Trump and like 10 guys or gals. And they're making decisions about goods and services moving throughout the economy and prices and taxes and what can cross borders and not cross borders. And they think they're smarter than the market. Now, what's the market? The market is, one of the problems with libertarianism is we never even define what the market is. We're not only not emotionally satisfying ideology, we're the worst public relations ever. Everything I do is to try to make it better PR for the liberty movement. What is the market? The market is the sum total of the economic choices of the 8 billion people on the planet. So if you think the market is good, you're betting on 8 billion people making their own tiny little choices based on as what Hayek called localized information that only they have. Like, for example, me. I'm selling my house. I know this neighborhood better than anybody. And why should somebody from Washington or Albany or downtown Buffalo be telling me who I can sell my house to, how much it could cost, all this other bullshit? So if you're for the market, if you're for the free market in terms of tariffs and trade, you're betting on the collective wisdom of 8 billion people. And this is my final point because I only have a couple houses to go. And if you're for Trump's policy, you're betting on one guy in the White House who owns some golf courses and real estate. And he's got 10 advisors telling him what to do. That is so ridiculous. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's no way that 10 people can make economic decisions better than 8 billion people on the planet. So I'm going to leave it at that. I've just basically totally destroyed Donald Trump's protectionist policies without getting into the boring details of I've done that actually before, but this is the coup de grace. This is when there's a firing squad and the captain goes up and does the coup de grace, the bullet to this is the coup de grace. I have destroyed the protectionist argument once and for all. I never want to hear it again. I will, of course.